So now the strategy is fixed. You know which outsourcing partner you're going to go with. So how do you actually work with the uh, outsourced team? And this is very important because these are smaller steps. If you see as a whole, these are really small steps, but they're going to bring out large results for you. So first is setting the onboarding process for the new team members. So while you set the onboarding process for the new team members, always make sure that you are sharing the vision and the product map with the team. And why it is important is because unless and until your team starts believing into your vision, they are not going to bring out the results what you are expecting them to give out. So always make sure that even if it is a single team member joining your team, make sure that you clear out your vision to them. So I'm just going to share one example of a product roadmap. If you see here, like over a period of time, what are the plans? This product roadmap also gives the team or your outsourced team as well an idea about what you are planning to launch, what are the dates around it, so that like all of this actually gives everyone the sense of ownership that, okay, when I'm working on it, these are my priorities. This would be the next thing I have to work upon. These are my delivery dates. So it gives them that sense of ownership. And that is important when you work with these teams. Second is giving the product walkthrough. So if you are at a stage that a part of the product is already built out, so it is always good to give that product walkthrough to the team so as to make sure that everyone is on the same page, and then the team can pick those things and move ahead with it. Always record this vision meeting call recordings, and I'll also tell a reason why. Because first time when you talk about your vision with your team, that level of energy might get lost when you're repeating it with the rest of your newly joined team members. So it is always good to record those vision meetings and make sure that these vision meeting recordings are passed on to the team. And last is introduce the entire team over video calls. So it is always good to have a face to the voices. So like when a new team member joins, make sure that all of your team on both like offshore, onshore is on a video call, talking, discussing about them, getting to know each other in a better way, so that they can bond and work in a good fashion. So that was all about setting up the like onboarding process. Let's talk about like why considering your team member, like even if it is an outsourced team, as your own team member is important, because a passionate team member will help you achieve the difficult goal. As I've already said this, when you get to know that, okay, this person or this team member is passionate about my goal, uh, you throw any problem at them, they are going to find a way out of it. And all of this is going to happen only when you consider them as own. If there are conversations or meetings and calls that, okay, your team did this, my team did this, these conversations could actually like take you apart from like calling them your own, because then you actually are drawing a line between these two teams, and that is something you should completely avoid. Next is build ownership with your team, and that's again, ownership becomes like two ways thing. Unless and until you show trust into your team member, they are not going to show it, and eventually they will like start taking more and more ownership. Next is knowing your team. I have seen this in the past with a few of my customers as well, that they tend to take monthly or quarterly one-on-ones with the team, and the only reason is not just to get a feedback or something, but more to know them as a person. Like what are their professional goals, and how I can align those professional goals with with the work I'm assigning to them. Because let's say there are few people on the team who are really good. They are into one team. They want to move to another team, let's say, or another role into the same project itself. So if that is their professional goal, so as a client, I would say I would see that okay, if this person is really good, if he is taking the ownership, and if he wants to go into another team, and I have a room for it, why don't I help him with it? That will also build a lot of loyalty of that team members with you. So this having this monthly or quarterly one-on-ones really help. Next is feedback. Be open to feedback, because it's not always that the customer has to give feedback to the outsourced team, but the customer should also be open to collect feedback from the outsourced team. The one-on-one meetings, the monthly or quarterly, those are right time to ask for any personal feedback. Or another best way is to get the real feedback is sending anonymous feedback forms, and you can send to the entire team and collect it. And last is setting monthly calls with the management team of the outsourced team, so as to make sure that the team feedback is also passed on to the team members. Very, very important thing is setting expectations from both sides. It is not just important that an agreement is set and that means the expectations are set. It is just a half work done. Setting expectations when you actually start working on a project are equally important, because when you want the team to take the ownership, you are also responsible, or you are also accountable as a customer or a client for half of the things of it. So it is always better to set an expectation around who is going to do what part and what are the responsibilities of each and every person. So it is always good to define a process document. I'll show you a couple of examples here. So this is from one of my projects where we have defined like what would be the code review for the PR process. Sorry. So we have clearly defined that how many times in a week we'll meet, and what would be the timings, how those PR processes should go on and all. So let's say there are two processes in this project. We are divided into two processes. One is a live code review over the calls, or the another one is screen recording, which needs to be attached to whenever a developer is doing the PR. So something like processes, something like that. Or I'll give another example of, let's say in this project, like for a Jira workflow, what should be the potential Jira workflow? What do each of these definitions mean? Who is responsible for what, for changing the status of the tickets to which status to what status and all. So this might be like smaller things in terms of like a process or a document, but this is going to avoid any kind of a confusion, and people who are into those roles have clearly defined things that okay, I'm responsible for this, and then they can take ownership of that piece. The next part is defining clear roles and responsibilities, as I already talked about it. And then the defining an escalation matrix, because not always things are going to go smooth. So there could be a possible ups and downs in the project. So what would be the potential escalation matrix in such cases? So like you can see on the screen, like this is a escalation matrix, what we follow for Mindbowser. But this is the path. The first escalation point is the project lead or the project manager. Then it eventually comes to the delivery head, and then it can be, again, if there is no resolution, it can be escalated to the higher management. So these are the normal escalation path. So having these kind of documents or this clarity will make sure that the expectations are set from both the ends.